You're commuting home with Katz and Cosby. Now, here's John Katzimatidis and Rita Cosby on 77 WABC.
And joining us now is Congressman Mike Lawler. Congressman, before we move on to other stuff, do you have a reaction? I mean, this is stunning. You're a New York congressman. The New York City mayor has now just been indicted.
Well, obviously, Rita, it's a sad day for the city, and certainly the allegations are serious. I think the mayor needs to be fully transparent with the people of the city of New York. Obviously, anytime you have foreign dollars, being alleged to come in either to a campaign or for bribes or personal benefit, obviously it raises significant questions and concerns. The allegations swirling around the mayor in relation to Turkey have obviously been going on for over a year now. And that comes on the heels of, Bob Goldbar's Menendez and Egypt, and, Henry Cuellar down in Texas, with respect to, countries in Latin America. So there's serious concerns, obviously, and I think the mayor needs to address them. Obviously you see Democrats, calling on him to resign. Which is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It is. And by the way, why did some of them, they seem to know before he even knew. I mean, AOC yesterday was literally calling for his resignation, and everyone's like, for what?
Well, that was, I was at the Capitol, and I was asked by a number of reporters, do you agree with AOC that, the mayor should resign? And I said, for what? Has he been indicted yet? And obviously later that day he was, but, certainly, obviously some people seem to be in on it, before others. But look, we'll see. Obviously this process will play out. I know he will, be arraigned, and we'll see. I don't anticipate him, resigning. Obviously, no defense counsel is going to tell you to resign in advance, but clearly his ability to govern is going to be limited, and obviously in a city completely controlled by Democrats, you're going to have people out for blood, and obviously people who have already announced they're running against him next year are going to be pushing to get him to resign and have a special election. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. Governor Patterson.
Congressman, I am always fascinated by these people, who call for other people to resign. One of the people that called for Mayor Adams to resign was under investigation himself for about 5 years, and finally got out of it, and nobody bothered him at the time. They let him prove his innocence, if he was innocent, and he had asked me to resign years ago when I wasn't even indicted.
Yeah, obviously, our politics has gotten to the point where the moment a mere allegation is made, there is often the call to resign. I think certainly from the standpoint of our justice system, we want to allow people a due process. We want to allow the situation to play itself out. I do think as elected officials, all of us have a responsibility to recognize, we're in these roles to serve the people. And if you sincerely cannot serve, insofar as really focus on the task at hand and do the work of the people of your community or your district or your state, obviously I do think people should give it strong consideration. But the mere allegation is not grounds for removal. When we, look at somebody like George Santos, I was proud to vote to remove him from Congress because, number one, we referred it to ethics. Ethics came back with a investigative report. He had multiple people affiliated with him plead guilty to the underlying charges against him. And obviously, ultimately, he did plead guilty to the things that the ethics committee showed. he was guilty of. And given the way that he lied and misled voters and donors, it was very clear based on the information, and he had admitted to it as much.
Congressman,
but obviously these issues, people are very quick to call for the immediate resignation. I do think, generally speaking, we got to let the process play itself out.
And he says that Adams says he's sort of being set up by the Biden administration. They asked about it in the press briefing today, and it wouldn't be the first time it seems like the Biden administration has gone after people. Go ahead.
If he cannot conduct his office because of this, the governor can remove him at any time, just giving him a chance to state his case, and then she can make her decision. So that is a possibility in this. What do you think of that?
Well, it's certainly a possibility, and obviously there's no love lost, between Eric Adams and a lot of New York officials and the Biden administration, because on two major issues, he has called them out on cashless bail, which has been an unmitigated disaster, the single stupidest piece of legislation that has ever been enacted into law anywhere, and obviously the migrant crisis, and some of that, of course, New York City's own doing with their sanctuary city policies and the right to shelter. But, obviously he was very critical of President Biden. And so, there's no question across the country there is a strong belief by many Americans that the Department of Justice has been weaponized, and that it is used as a vehicle to go after political opponents. And that is destructive to the country. Even if in the end that isn't the case, the fact that is the perception by many Americans is extremely destructive to our government. It's extremely destructive to our electoral process. And if people feel that the Department of Justice or a local prosecutor or somebody like Alvin Bragg is being used as a vehicle by which to determine the outcomes of our elections, then obviously that is a problem. And obviously the mayor is making that case in his vociferous defense. I do think he needs to address many of the underlying allegations, especially surrounding foreign donations. But, obviously he is making the case that he feels he is being targeted because he was critical of the Biden administration.
Well, he wanted money for his city and because of the migrant crisis. Oh, Congressman Lawler, thank you so much, and we'll catch up with you again real soon.
Thanks a lot, John.